Good afternoon. We are calling to order the Board of Directors meeting for the Park Central Community Facilities District. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Board Member Ansari.
Here.
Board Member Conlon. Here. Board Member DeCiccio. Here. Board Member Garcia.
Here.
Board Member Gervais. I apologize. Board Member Gervais.
Here.
Thank you. Board Member Guardado.
Here.
Board Member O'Brien.
Here.
Board Member Stark.
Here.
Board Member Waring.
Here.
Vice Chair Pastor.
Here.
Chairwoman Gallego.
Here. Item 3, is there a motion to adopt resolution number PC-15 approving reallocation of the assessment on affected assessment parcels within the district, securing payment of the district's special assessment revenue bonds, taxable series 2019?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
Conlon.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Gervais.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 11-0.
Thank you. Thank you to board members Conlon and Gervais for their service. This meeting is now adjourned. Now we will move to the formal meeting of the Phoenix City Council, and I will invite our fire chaplain, Fesmeyer, forward for our invocation. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mayor. You're welcomed and invited to join me in prayer. Thank you, Heavenly Father, Creator and Sustainer, for each new day. Your mercies are new every morning. Thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the leaders in this room and for our protectors and each of their families. I ask a special prayer for the plague that has taken place and the violence that affects our city. Return this city to its beauty and to its peace. Grant us the wisdom to address and engage our challenges with civility, understanding, and humility. And I offer a sacred prayer on behalf of 2 of our officers who represent and protect our city, who were shot this week, bringing the total of our protectors struck by gunfire to 19. And lastly, we mourn the passing of Officer Matt Linden. And we ask that you would watch over, protect him, his family, protect us in this meeting ahead as we invite your presence and the decisions and the challenges for your wisdom and your guidance. For we pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Councilwoman Guardado, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
We'll now call to order the formal meeting of the Phoenix City Council for August 31st. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilwoman Ansari.
Here.
Councilman DeCiccio. Here. Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilwoman Guardado.
Here.
Councilwoman O'Brien.
Here.
Councilwoman Stark.
Here.
Councilman Waring.
Here.
Vice Mayor Pastor.
Here.
Mayor Gallego.
Here. Mario Barajas and Elsie Duarte are here to provide interpretation. Mario, would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Hello, my name is Mario Barajas, and together with my colleague Elsie Duarte, we will be serving as today's Spanish interpreters for the formal meeting. I'll now take a moment to introduce ourselves to our Spanish-speaking audience and review some brief instructions. Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Mario Barajas y junto con mi colega Elsie Duarte vamos a estar sirviéndoles como intérpretes del habla hispana hoy día. Deseamos pedirles de antemano, si es que van a dar un comentario público, por favor, hable despacio, con claridad y evite tener distracciones de fondo. Finalmente, pause después de cada una o dos oraciones para que les podamos interpretar lo que esté diciendo de la más completa manera posible. Muchas gracias. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mario. Would the city clerk please read the 24-hour paragraph?
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances number G 7008 through 7010, S 48901 through 48963, and resolutions 22049 through 22060.
Thank you. We'll turn to our city attorney to explain the role of public comment in council meetings.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the public may speak for up to 2 minutes to comment on agenda items to be discussed. Comments must be related to the agenda item and the action being considered by the council. General comments that go beyond the scope of the agenda item must be made in the citizen comment session at the end of the agenda. The City Council and staff cannot discuss or comment on matters related to pending investigations, claims, or litigation. The City Code requires speakers to present their comments in a respectful and courteous manner. Profane language, threats, or personal attacks on members of the public, council members, or staff are not allowed. A person who violates these rules will lose their opportunity to continue to speak.
Thank you. Item agenda number 1 is the formal meeting minutes from 8/26/20. Vice Mayor, do you have a motion?
I move item number 1, meeting minutes on 8/26/2020.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Jeremy Thacker is here to provide comments.
I'm actually meant to comment on number 2, that one as well, so wait.
Mr. Thacker, could you begin again?
Yeah, I meant to comment on number 2.
Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
1 was an accident, yeah.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Minutes pass unanimously. We next move to boards and commissions. Vice Mayor, do you have a motion?
I motion to approve. I motion to approve mayor and city council boards and commissions nominations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we will go back to Jeremy Thacker.
Last week, I attended the Alhambra Village Planning Committee where they introduced Mark Bonilla as the newest member of the committee, and he made very thoughtful comments throughout. And I saw this week he is, after one meeting, being replaced by the person he replaced. And I'm very confused as to why. When I reached out to Mr. Bonilla about what had happened, he had not been told that he was being replaced prior to this coming out. In addition to Mr. Bonilla, I also have concerns about the Parks Board members that are being extended, that are receiving extended terms. 2 of them, Dorina Bustamante and Tony, both have glaring conflicts of interest as they work for SRP, and the other was the business development manager for True North, right next to Margaret Hans Park. So, and then I'm trying to figure out why extending someone for almost 15 years on the same board is beneficial, and meeting the needs of other citizens who have differing opinions than Aubrey Barnwell.
Thank you. We'll turn to Councilwoman Ansari for comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to highlight some of the outstanding new Village Planning Committee members that we have in District 7 today. In the Estrella Village, which is a village that has historically had the most vacancies in our city. So this summer, my team and I really prioritized filling those with dedicated community members. A couple of them I wanted to highlight. Jennifer Ayala is an educator and president of the Cuban Neighborhood Association, and Renee Dominguez is a leader in the Homedale neighborhood, which are both in the eastern portion of the village and haven't had representation on the VPC for many years. We're also appointing Marcus Sanaceros, who I actually see is sitting right there. He's actually one of the most active and engaged 18-year-olds I've ever met. And Andre Sorete, who provides very much needed insight on affordable housing. Also wanted to give a special shout out to Dr. Ryan Centers, who will be joining the Levine VPC, and Ryan Boyd, who will be joining the Phoenix Planning Commission. Congratulations.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. And now for the first time in quite a while, we will have an in-person swearing in. Congratulations to all of our new boards and commissions members, as well as those who are returning. We are so grateful for your service. Please raise your right hand and then repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of, state your office, according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. We would ask you to come behind the council chambers so the council members can thank you. Congratulations all, and again, thank you for your service. You help us build a stronger city. We next move to the liquor license portion of our agenda. The City of Phoenix provides an advisory role to the state of Arizona on liquor licenses. Do we have a motion on liquor licenses?
Motion to approve items 3 through 49.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Passes unanimously. Ordinances, resolutions, new business, and planning and zoning. City Clerk, are we ready?
Yes, Mayor.
Vice Mayor, are we ready?
Yes. Motion to approve items 50 through 162, except the following. Items 62, 65, 74, 78, 82, 84, 87, 88, 92, 102, 112, 116, 119, and 162. Noting that items 108 and 134 are withdrawn, and excluding these items for virtual public comment, items 92, 97, 116, 162. And can the clerk confirm if there are any other items that should be excluded for in-person public comment?
Yes, Vice Mayor. Also excluding item 85, we have an in-person speaker, and we already excluded 84, but we also have an in-person speaker for that.
Okay.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Excellent motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any corrections? Roll call.
Ansari,
Yes.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next move to item 62, interim executive services. Vice Mayor.
I move item 62.
Need a second?
Second.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. I'll turn to Councilmember Garcia for comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Lori, just wanted to ask some clarifying questions. First, our offices have gotten concerns about the chief's time in Louisville and whether or not the chief was present during the Breonna Taylor situation. And just want you to confirm or know that the chief was there during that time.
Mayor, Councilmember Garcia, members of the council, no, Mr. Sullivan was not present in Louisville. He did not work for Louisville Metro Police Department when the Breonna Taylor incident happened. He left about almost a year before that in June of 2019.
Thank you. The other concern we've gotten, and I don't know if this is to you or Jeff, is around public process, especially for such an important position. Can you either of you talk to the hiring timeline or the process for a permanent chief and just clarify that this is an interim position or not?
Great question, Councilman Garcia, Mayor, members of the council. We've been very adamant from the beginning that this role that we're asking for your approval on the contract today was simply the interim role. Someone that was focusing on the DOJ investigation as well as just getting the department ready to embrace the new chief when that time comes. I can't sit here today and give you a definitive time frame on when that process will start, but I will tell you that without question, when we start the process to hire the permanent chief, it will be a very robust process that includes lots of community engagement as well as engagement with other stakeholders, including the unions. But again, that process to hire a permanent chief is like a 6 to 9 month process. So as we present to you today this contract, we expect him to be here somewhere between 12 to 24 months. I can't say definitively how long that's going to be, but we will start the recruitment for the permanent chief at some point in that time frame. And Lori, I don't know if you'd like to add anything to that.
No, nothing to add to that other than for those who are familiar with the process that occurred when Chief Williams was hired, it will be a very similar process to that, although we do have some additional electronic tools available to us to survey stakeholders as well.
Thank you. Those are the questions I had.
Thank you. Councilman Waring.
Just one question. Is Chief Sullivan, is he expected to apply for the permanent position, or is he barred from doing so, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Councilman Waring, Mayor, members of the council, that's a good question. I think when we first found out that Chief Williams was retiring, I made a statement that said that the person that we're hiring for the interim wouldn't be able to apply. We then got several questions asked of us that if this individual does a really great job, why would we shoot ourselves in the foot and not allow them to compete in the process? So yes, he would be able to if he chose to do that. We will not anoint this person chief. We will not tap them chief. They would have to go through the same process as everyone else.
Vice Mayor.
I have one question, and I just want to be clear and have it on the record. As we move forward in hiring a chief, I want to make sure that there will be community engagement and community forums around all our districts. I just want to make sure that that's on the record because that's been one of the key things about the interim, that there was no community engagement and there wasn't also other engagements within our employee groups. So.
Yes, Vice Mayor, we will commit to engagement both with community members in all districts as well as with the labor groups and department employees as well.
Any additional council member comments? Mike Sullivan comes to us with decades of experience in policing, I had the chance to talk to him about a variety of important issues facing the city of Phoenix, from gun crime to evolving cybercrime. Appreciate his expertise. He really comes with a deep experience in public safety and a passion for modernizing. He's committed to working with the community and developing stronger relationships. He has very relevant experience in areas such as major events that will be coming in front of us very soon. So I look forward to welcoming Chief Sullivan to the city of Phoenix. With that, roll call.
Ansari,
Yes.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
By a unanimous vote, we welcome Chief Sullivan to the city of Phoenix. We next move to item 65, Customer Engagement Software Contract. Vice Mayor.
I move item 65.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I will turn to the Vice Mayor for comments.
Yes, I would like to know what Zen City technology is going to bring to our city. And what's the purpose?
Mayor, members of the council, as a city of 1.7 million people, we have to use different tools to connect to everyone. And so Zen City is just another tool in the toolbox to allow us to engage with our residents on another platform. I'll kind of liken it to similar to when we brought on Fund Phoenix for the budget. As you know, we've for years have done robust community engagement processes with Fund Phoenix, with just our normal traditional budget process. And with Fund Phoenix, we were able to reach an audience of people that we've never talked to before or heard from before. And so what Fund Phoenix has done for us from a budgetary standpoint is increased the number of people that we engage with to get additional feedback and concerns on the budget and things that are in the budget. What Zen City will allow us to do is something very similar. It's to reach an audience of people that we don't hear from, that come to council meetings, that come to budget hearings, that speak up in our traditional manners. So it's not designed to replace the regular engagement process. It's designed to augment and supplement what we currently do.
Thank you for that explanation. My understanding is we have been using Zen City, that our department has been using it.
That is correct. Zen City was first tested out by IT back in 2019, the IT department, and then it was rolled out to police, and they've been using it.
And what I want to make sure is that I want to understand exactly what will we be using it for. I know that they'll be able to gather information of people that normally don't participate in a everyday city council meeting or logging in, but I would like to know what are the parameters in using this type of software.
So let me just start by saying Zen City is kind of a twofold application. The first application side of it allows us to kind of cull all of the publicly available information that sits out there in dialogue space. That'd be Twitter, that'd be Instagram, Facebook, comments on individual news articles. It allows us to see what folks are saying and how they're reacting to certain things relative to things that are facing the city of Phoenix. On the other side, it allows us to do something that we haven't done formally since 2007, 2008, and that's the citizen survey. So there is a survey component and functionality of this that allows us to actually engage our residents to see how they feel about the city of Phoenix, to see how they feel about individual services or things that we're thinking about doing. Even something like when we start talking about rates or when we start talking about engaging homeless. So it gives us that opportunity. There have been several cities. It's being used by about 300 cities across the country currently. It's endorsed by the ICMA, the National Association of Counties, and some cities even locally that are using it. I'll use Scottsdale as an example. Scottsdale, when they were in their bond process, there was some misinformation that was disseminated amongst the community, and it was being spread. And the city officials using Zen City were able to find that conversation, and they were able to develop targeted messaging that dispelled that myth that was proliferating out in the community. And they actually attribute their bond process passing because of their use of Zen City.
Thank you. I have several more. Who has the ability to request to use Zen City?
So, Councilwoman, Zen City will be managed, the application will be managed by the Communications Office and our Communication Director, Dan Wilson. Then his PIOs will have access to the software tool. However, anyone that requests a particular report or an individual project/survey, those would have to be approved by himself and me.
Okay. And as you stated earlier, there were two departments that use Zen City or probably were testing it. What did they use it for? What information were they pulling?
Yeah, Mayor, members of the council, Vice Mayor Pastor, I don't have specifics, but I can kind of give you some anecdotal information of what I have heard and been told. I know that police has used the information that they have found in Zen City to really see how folks are reacting to individual things that pertain to policing and individual incidents, if you will. I know recently when the raises were passed by you for police, the compensation adjustments, Dan ran a report on that to see kind of what the public reaction was to those raises. And you could kind of see the support for those raises within the tool. So that's one way in which we plan to use it. When we make major investments or when we do major initiatives, it allows us to get, again, a broader sense, and we can see it over a period of time, not just on the day that the action occurs, but to see it as we matriculate throughout, the weeks and months following said decision.
And will the council be able to request projects?
Yes. So through your PIO liaison in the council office, you would have the opportunity to request those individual reports. But again, those requests would also be funneled through Dan and myself.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking all these questions because I hope Zen City is not going to be used for an opposite tool. And what I mean by an opposite tool, it probably doesn't make sense, but that it's not going to be used as to what's the public's opinion. If the public's opinion is, say, we don't like this raise, then we shift as a council or the city, I don't know necessarily us, shift and then say, okay, this is the negative opinion. How are we going to shift and make it a positive opinion? I just want to be very careful with this type of software and how it can be used.
Vice Mayor, I think that's an excellent point as well. What I would say to that is, we just recently stood up the city manager's performance management dashboard. I've been very adamant about managing this city through the use of data and how folks are responding and how we are doing. And to me, Zen City is the perfect complement to something like the city manager's dashboard. We are not trying to manipulate behavior. What we're really trying to do is really get a sense for, are we conducting ourselves the way the public expects us to be conducting our business?
Thank you.
Councilwoman Guardado.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I also had some comments, Jeff, and I just want to make sure that this technology, I think Vice Mayor has covered some of this, does not take the place of the city getting out into our neighborhoods, going door to door to talk with residents about upcoming events, infrastructure, and street pavement projects, community surveys, and other opportunities for residents to get involved and I've told you my concerns already. We have a lot of people that don't use Facebook, that don't use Twitter, that don't put their emotions out in the public in terms of how they feel about a lot of the things that the city does and doesn't do. I think that, there's a lot of work that does need to get done, and the part that does make me nervous about this technology is that we will try to make decisions based just on this, right? And as we are thinking of any shift or thinking about moving anything around, we gotta make sure that we have all of the data, whether it's through this, whether it's through public engagement. I just think it's critically important. As someone that's been on the council for 3 years, I've learned a lot. And I think that community engagement is something that we can do a lot better. We can be a lot better at that. We still have residents that have no idea where to call if they need a new trash bin or a new recycling bin. We have a long way to go before we can get there. And I'm hopeful that a lot of these tools will help us also educate a lot of our constituents that don't know exactly where to call, and I think that's very important. People don't have social media. We need to make sure that we have all of the thoughts, that we have all of the opinions of everyone, and that we try to help people on different formats, and that this is just part of a more comprehensive approach on how we're going to reach out to people and how we're not going to get information, and that we're not solely just responding to this. As you know, we have a lot of languages that get spoken throughout our city, and we need to make sure that we're able to get to everyone. And the other thing I would like to see is making sure that we either get a quarterly report, a monthly report on how this is being used. When the chief comes in, he gives us a report in terms of everything that they get done, and I would like to see the same for this.
Mayor, members of the council, Councilwoman Guardado, you have my word and my commitment that we will not abandon the face-to-face engagement with our residents. Again, I would go back to my old hat, which is budget and research. We did not stop engaging the public when we brought on Fund Phoenix. We would not do that here. This is just, again, an additional tool that we would put on our tool belt so that we could engage more of our residents and see what they're feeling for those that we don't hear about traditionally. I think in terms of your request about the reporting, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a great idea. So anytime that we use this tool, I think we will have Dan prepare a report that goes either to you monthly, quarterly. We'll figure out what frequency makes sense. But this information, when ran, will be available to everyone. I think it's important to be as transparent as we can with the information that we're pulling.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Councilmember Garcia and then Councilman DeCiccio.
Thank you, Mayor. Biggest concerns are around privacy, the data privacy, what happens to it. And so I think the first question is, what's our privacy policy when it comes to this? And then with that question is, if we have a public record request, then does that data become public?
Councilman Garcia, Mayor, members of the council, also great questions. Fortunately for me in my career at the city, I've gotten to wear several different hats, one of which I was the privacy officer for a while when the city first brought on our privacy policies and wrote both original ARs. I can tell you that any contract that we engage in with a company that has information that is city information, proprietary information, they are required to adhere to the same privacy standards that the city does. So that's first and foremost. I also can tell you that this company has to adhere with other standards that are over and above what the city requires as doing business in this sector. As it's been explained to me, and Dan Wilson and I have a copy of their privacy policy, they are not collecting nor storing personal information. So even ISP, which is something that folks sometimes worry about being tracked and monitored, they are not containing and storing ISP. What they do is when they are pulling there are two pieces. So the first piece where they're pulling the public information, they're not storing names, usernames, logins, any of that stuff. They're catching the comments that were made. And then those comments just get tallied, little tick marks. When it comes to the actual survey side of things, they are doing geofencing to try and make sure that folks are located here. They are assigning a random number to individual accounts, if you will. So phones, desktops, iPads, what have you, they're assigning a random number that they generate so that they ensure, number one, that they don't send that same device another same survey. They're not storing personal information. So there would be nothing that would be turned over public about an individual user handle or username or any of that thing. All they would have are basically 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the numbers of people that commented on this particular thing, as I understand it.
It just seems a little, doesn't feel safe as a city to go into this. I think, there's that contradiction. If you're not doing ISPs, you're not doing actual addresses, then how are we going to know if the data is actually from Phoenix, if it's not going to be the same people doing repetitive messages, and also if they're bots, right? If they're created that aren't real. And so my fear is also that we're gaining data that is not accurate. And so I think the Fund Phoenix tool is amazing. I'm a big advocate of it. I think that's a tool that people opt into. This is something that our residents are not opting into. They're not, understanding that any comment that they may make regarding our city will now be gathered. So that seems just very concerning to me. I understand we want to use new technology. I just don't think we have the ability to maintain folks' privacy and also assure that any of these data is going to be scientific or accurate. Therefore, I'm not going to support this item, but thank you for your answers.
Councilman DeCiccio.
Thank you, Mayor. And I agree with Councilmember Garcia on this, on the concern of data storage, and you know where I've been on that, is when government starts storing data on individuals and collecting data, and we start to profile individuals as to fit certain categories, especially in this heated political environment that we're in right now. I like the fact that they have a policy on that, but from my end, and I'll end up voting for this just because you recommend it, Jeff, but normally I don't. The storage of data, the collection of data on individuals is a problem sometimes, and especially for government to do that. And how that can be used. Government can always take your rights away, it can take your property away, it can take your life away, it can arrest you, it can do all these things, whereas the private sector really can't do a lot of those things legally. So there's always that concern on that. Maybe in 6 months or 7 months, we could take another delve into this thing and take a look, not necessarily have it come up for a vote, but maybe something that we could take a look at on the privacy end of it. I think Vice Mayor Pastor brought up a really good point too, is on the opposition end of it. We want to make sure that whatever data we use, whatever information we use, we don't engage that way. You know what I mean? I think that would just be doing the public a disservice. And there's always that tendency to do that, to want to do that. And it's not this administration that you have here with you and Lori and others. It's future ones. That's what everything that we vote on up here is about 10 years from now, 15 years from now. It's not just necessarily on this. So we totally trust you guys. I don't know if anyone who doesn't. I think you're amazing, quite frankly. Both of you are just incredible. But what happens after you? And that's the concern that I would have on something like this. So if we could revisit it a little later, I'm not asking for it to be in the motion or anything else, maybe just as a friendly request.
Mayor, members of the council, if I may address that, one thing that I can do also, because ultimately the contract will have to come back to you for approval with Zen City. So Dan and I can make sure that we address all those privacy concerns. If we have to ramp things up even more than we typically do, we'll try to do that as well. But we can bring back an update on how it's been used over the course of time.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-1.
We next move to item 74, awards, recognition, promotional products and services. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
I'd like to move item 74. Need a second?
We have a motion and a second. I'll turn to Councilman DeCiccio.
No, Mayor, just going to vote against it. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Any
Mayor.
comments? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
No.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 7-2.
Next, we move to item 78, amendments to classification plan. Vice Mayor.
Like to move item 78.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This item is a good news item to me. It creates higher level positions that recognize the amazing work our procurement team is doing. I'm really proud of and impressed by the work they have been doing. They've been innovative in trying to design procurement so that small businesses can be more involved and compete more effectively. During COVID-19, the citywide procurement team not only helped our city employees stay safe, but provided important support to school districts and other key partners. To me, this improved package right now really recognizes they're doing great work and will help us continue to attract top-notch procurement people, which are essential to a great city. And I'll turn to Lori Bays in case I missed anything that's worth highlighting.
Mayor, I think you've covered it. This really recognizes the higher level work that our central procurement folks do in the finance department, and that is something that's going to really help us attract and retain high quality employees, as you noted.
Wonderful. Any additional comments? Councilwoman Guardado.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm also going to be supporting this item today. I want to thank our staff who worked on this most recent class and comp study. And as everyone knows, I also want to emphasize that there are many, many more class and comp studies that we need to be rolling out. We hear from employees in our water service, public works, street transportation, and other departments and their respective labor groups that they have been waiting months and even years to get paid and benefits adjusted to where they need to be. We have a lot of departments, they feel that they are the people, they're like a boot camp where people come and get trained here and then they go out and get better jobs. And I think that is something that does need to stop. I know that we are working on this comp study. I applaud Lori and the whole team that is working on this, but we do need to accelerate this a little bit more with everything that's been going on in the last 2 years with inflation, with everything that's happening. I see how we continue to lose workers right and left that do a lot of the essential work that's incredibly important to a lot of our constituents. And as I have said many times before, the City of Phoenix must be the leader in pay and benefits for all of our employees. I appreciate the work being done to address disparities, but we are the 5th largest city in the country, and we need to do better when it comes to pay and supporting our employees in all the different departments. I'm excited about what we're doing today, but being able to take care of these other classifications is also taking care of our constituents. I look forward to the class income studies to come, and I would ask that our city manager prioritize the process so we can reward our current employees quickly to fill vacancies. I know, Jeff, we've been talking about this a lot, and I think every time we meet, I bring this up, and I don't know, can you give us an update on where we are at with some of the other departments, and when will we see the next one?
Vice Mayor, Mayor, members of council, Councilwoman Guardado, I'll let Lori talk about the details by department and where the class and comp study is. I'll just say that I know I come to you guys a lot, and I sound like a broken record as it pertains to vacancies. I too, and the department heads that report to me, they are all tired of the vacancies. I think we, over the last 2 budget cycles, we've added close to 500 positions. And because of compensation in the market and inflation, we've had a very, very difficult time hiring and filling those positions. So I think as we move forward in our process, again, I think I hear you all, and I think I hear the public. They demand more, and I think we have to pay more to get those positions filled. So I'll turn it over to Lori.
Mayor, members of the council, Councilwoman Guardado, we are moving into the home stretch of our citywide class and comp study, which has been looking at nearly 900 different classifications. We have been working on hot spots, you know, as we were doing today with bringing forward this recommendation, but it really is a broader focus that we need to bring a plan forward to you to right-size all of the classifications within the city. And we know that some of our classifications are a little bit off of the labor market, and some of them are significantly off of the labor market, and we need to move forward with changes to address those things if we're going to be able to attract and retain the high quality workforce that we need and that we want. We are hoping to have the final results of that study by the spring of 2023. That's the plan. So barring any unforeseen circumstances, that's what we should have for you. And then we'll be presenting the results of that study as well as recommendations for how to implement it, because it is a huge undertaking, both from an administrative perspective as well as from a budgetary perspective, to implement the results of a study that large. And I do expect some of the changes and the recommendations to be significant. As we've seen, you know, inflationary costs rise, we've seen the labor market change, we've seen the demands on organizations to pay higher wages continue to increase. And so, you know, as an organization, we're going to be faced with how we implement the results of that study. So it will be a really important discussion that we have, and we anticipate being able to have that discussion in spring as we move towards summer. And then I'll also remind you that in December, we launch our labor negotiations process. So that will be another opportunity for us to work in partnership with our labor groups to identify their needs as representatives of our employees, and to move contracts forward for your approval next spring as well.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to that and seeing how that changes. I mean, we have so many other places out there that I think are paying a lot more than we are paying, and I just think that, you know, our employees are, you know, are valuable to us, are valuable to our constituents, and I know that you guys understand that, and I appreciate that we're finally doing this. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get something before spring, but I mean, we're you know, people are really hurting and hoping we get something done. But thank you for all of your hard work.
We'll go to the Vice Mayor and then Councilmember Garcia.
So I appreciate all the hard work, and it's needed. However, it's needed through all our classes. I have sat yesterday hearing about, I have a list, which I mean to sit with you guys. I have a list of the top 10 highest vacancies and what departments. And they're all in our, and when I mean safety departments, I'm talking water, I'm talking transportation infrastructure, I'm talking a broad term of safety that need to get filled ASAP, and their reclass needs to move. When you're getting paid only $16 an hour to do hard work out in the sun, and right now the competition is 20, I'm going to go for 20. And we figured out yesterday, you know, kind of what they would be taking home, and it would be $1,500. It was a little bit higher. $1,500. Then we take 11% off for retirement. Then you have to get your benefits, which they don't end up taking home maybe $1,000. We are the 5th largest city. We should be competitive. Other cities around us are more competitive than us. So we have to figure this out, and we have to figure out ASAP, because like a Phoenix, we're on fire because we're losing employees. And then we can't replace them. We have employees living in poverty right now because of where they're at. So I appreciate all the work, and I'm not saying I don't. I do appreciate it, but we got to move faster. The narrative is catching up to us faster than we can get out. And the narrative now is Phoenix doesn't care about our employees. And that's not true. So I'm asking if it's do we need more money to hire more people on the contract staff? I don't know what it is, but come with us so that we can move. We're going to be in negotiations. Will that comp study be ready for negotiations? And will it be ready for when we're talking about the budget?
The mayor, members of the council, vice mayor, those are all great questions and comments. The class and comp study will not be ready prior to negotiations. It's actually something that will be separate from negotiations. As you may recall, you, I think wisely, set aside money in this year's budget to use for purposes of labor negotiations and our classification and compensation, knowing that this is coming. So that $30 million is there. Not that that's going to necessarily be everything that's needed to address all of the needs, but that is a great start. And we are going to be working with the labor groups sort of alongside labor negotiations once we get the results of that classification and compensation study, as well as with the council in preparation for the 23-24 budget to develop a plan to implement the results of that study. We know that it's going to be significant. We know that we have needs, and I don't disagree with any of the comments made. I agree that our employees really, have significant needs, and we are off the mark significantly in some of our job classifications, and we need to look at that. I will discuss further with our Human Resources Director, David Matthews, where there are areas that we may be able to make adjustments or recommendations sooner. However, we really aren't going to address the bulk of the need until we can bring that full class and comp study forward. And it is just something that is taking a significant amount of time because we do have so many job classifications. As I mentioned, we have nearly 900 job classifications amongst 14,000 employees, and each one of those has to be looked at on an individual basis and compared to the labor market. And so, I understand it has taken a long time, and it is taking a long time, and we will move as fast as possible, but we also need to make sure we're bringing quality results to the council for your consideration.
And if I may, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, I would just want to go on record as city manager and say I hear what you say, Vice Mayor, about some of the concerns and the perception as far as what people think that we feel. I just want to put that to bed. Our City of Phoenix employees, I think, are the best employees in the entire country. I think we don't do anything nor accomplish anything without them. They are by far our most vital resource, and I've heard you guys say that over the years that I've been here, the 20-plus years that I've been in the city, and I think it's important that they know that and they hear that frequently from all of us, because I think there is a morale issue also that's a part of this conversation. The one thing I will say is, again, I think we do need to compensate adequately. The one thing I would add to that is we need to compensate adequately, but be mindful of how much we have available. We've got to be reasonable. We can't spend like drunken sailors, as some like to say. We've got to do it in a reasonable manner so that we can sustain it, because I don't want to be the person that has to take back something because we gave more than we can actually afford.
Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. I think what you said is the key. We don't have all the money in the world. And I think by doing this phased approach, we're showing favoritism. I think the comp study for police was done, whether political reasons, whatever it was done quickly, rapidly, and it got done. And there, we have the highest paid officers in the state. We should be able to do the same for every single worker in this city. Because we are going to end up in that situation. We're going to end up in the situation if we continue this phased approach that by the time we get to water or whatever the last department's going to be, we're not going to have the money to do it. And I do also think it puts us at a disadvantage to go into negotiations without having the data and these compensation results. So once again, we're going into another negotiation without having this in our tool belt to actually know what we're going to do. So intentional or not, we are setting favorites and unfortunately probably pinning workers and departments against each other. And so I would really love for us to see if we can expedite that spring deadline and try not to do this phase approach. Because again, I think it's unfair and we will not be able to know how much money we actually have by the time we get them all done. And so not anything against these folks, just like last time it wasn't anything particularly against police in the compensation. I think it's unfair that we do it in this way, and we're not sending that message. We're talking that message, and I think employees don't want to hear us say how great they are. They want us to show it, and by showing it means compensating them correctly. So that's I know probably repeated a lot of what my colleagues said, but that's how I feel. Thank you.
We'll go back to the Vice Mayor.
I do want to say this piece. It didn't come to me as earlier. The other piece is that what's happening in departments, especially at those areas that we need that staff, like electricians, our traffic signal area, areas that bring danger, or they're in danger. The sense is that those departments are not hiring so that they can save money, so then they can outsource. And that's just the perception. Because when we don't have this staff or employees in those areas, I'll use the fire hydrant. We don't have those skilled workers in there, then we're going to a company to do their work. And these are areas that are skilled but are not getting paid what they should be getting paid. And it's a safety issue. So as Councilman Garcia talked about, it's unfair. It's really an equity issue across the board. And when we preach that we're going to be a city of equity, our actions show that. And so amongst us, we got to figure this out and move as fast as we can so we can demonstrate equity across the board. Thank you.
Councilman DeCiccio.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to provide a contrary position on that. So, and I want to thank staff because this is really hard. For those of you that weren't around here, I think there were one of us that was here in 2010. Jim, were you here? No, you weren't. I was. So we saw what happened in 2010. We see what's happening with the economic headwinds coming our way too. So what happened with police was a crisis, and it still is a crisis. We're down to, I think, 2,614 police officers, maybe a little less, and it's dropping even though with the pay raise. It's still doing that. We don't have enough police officers to manage the streets, and our response times have gone from 5 minutes to 7 minutes. I mean, it's incredible is what it is. To speed through a process, and I know where people could be really upset about that. I get it. But at the same time, to work faster on something when we don't know what's going to be happening economically in 2023 when people are predicting the recession. Now, I met with some of the Bankers Association today, and they said we're probably going to have a softer landing in Arizona just because we're a high-growth state. But that's not like that everywhere. So not only do we have to be fair, but we also have to be economically responsible when we make these kinds of decisions. Like, I'm all in favor of paying people higher wages in order to do that, in order to compete. But we've got to remember, and here's a number that you need to think about. So our average cost per employee, I think 5 years ago, was $115,000 per employee. Now that's cost. That's an all-in total compensation number. That's not what somebody takes home. It's what it costs to manage that. And if you have a system in place where those numbers continually rise, they have to, because in order for us to pay off our pensions, you have to pay more. It's just, I won't get into that debate. But the bottom line is financially, if we speed through something and not take a look at it and what the economic impact is going to be, we're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. I'll be gone. Okay, I'm out of here in 7 months, right? But you'll be dealing with something that you do not want to deal with. What we did in 2010, we had everybody yelling at us. We did not satisfy one person in that, and we still haven't to this day. People will always tell you that we have not brought them back up. We have not done anything that they should have been done at the time. So I have to tell you, and I know you've heard me say this, but I think Jeff and Lori are doing the most economically responsible thing. And I know it's hard for any employee that feels that they should be next in line to do that, or they should all be done at one time. To not do it this way, I think it's just going to put us in a really bad position in several years. So they're the finance guys, and they know what our cost is, and they know what the numbers are. And I would suggest you take a look and see what the total comp numbers are today. I would say it's got to be north of 120 per person for 13,000 employees. It becomes unsustainable over time. Even in a growth period, your revenue stream will, and your debt, or not your debt, but your cost, your revenue stream won't match your cost expense. And that becomes a long-term problem. So the unions, I've worked with them before in the past. We've had some battles, and I think we've got some good relationships going too. But from their end, you do not want to go back to a situation where we had before. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Item 82, Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community Gaming Grant. Vice Mayor.
I'd like to move item 82.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. It is in Council District 8. I will turn to Councilmember Garcia for comments.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank the tribe for inviting the city to apply for this. Pueblo Grande Museum is a great, important cultural asset to our community. It represents the original inhabitants of this land, the Oto and the Pima folks. Also, encouraged to hear that we're getting to update 2 galleries at the museum, making sure that we're keeping our information up to date. The museum, if folks have not been there, I invite you to check it out. We've hosted budget meetings there. We've tried to activate the space. So really excited for this opportunity, and hope as a city we also can continue to invest and support the museum. Thank you.
Councilmember DeCiccio.
Oh, thank you, Mayor, and I'm going to keep it quick. This is just a grant application, but I think every time I see one of these, I want to make sure we always highlight how much the tribes have been a partner with the City of Phoenix in our organizations every year. And we're talking, this is $253,000 application, but we're talking millions of dollars every single year that we get from their gaming revenue. And I constantly want to keep this going out there because I think the public needs to be aware of how close our relationship is with these tribal members. And we need to thank them continuously for the help that they give us and help these organizations throughout the city. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. To appreciate the tribal support, the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community has been working with us on several different items to make sure we accurately remember the history and just appreciate their partnership. And with that, roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Item 84 is the Housing Phoenix Plan City-Owned Land Reservation. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
I move item 84.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Well, we do have public comment on this item. We'll begin with Cindy.
Good afternoon, Mayor Gallego, members of the council. My name is Cindy Gahn, for the record, and I speak on behalf of Phoenix Community Alliance, our members, and our board of directors. And in addition to this item 84, I'm here to speak in support of items 85, 87, and 88, so we can take care of them all in one step up to the podium. These are so important. They align with our Social and Housing Advancement Committee initiatives because we'll be creating more affordable housing. So important for the city to continue this effort, in addition to really assisting our residents who are experiencing homelessness. We can move the work plan forward for the Housing Plan Phoenix with the set aside for these home sites, these lots that we've designated. Also supporting our extremely low and low income residents with the permanent positions that will be coming on board. And then also the rapid rehousing for both single women and single men, thanks to you, Mom, and Cass. And so we just ask for your support in these. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll turn to Councilmember Garcia for comments, followed by Councilwoman Ansari.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm really glad that the city staff is flexible and looking to figure this out. I know we had set up a phased approach to doing this, and it makes more sense to do it in the way we're doing it now. I think, the priority is to extend our housing stock. Our housing department has been able to use what little funding they've got to cut through some of the unnecessary red tape that we've set up. So really proud of the housing department and what they've done with the little resources that they have. And so glad to figure this out and hopefully make it easier for them. But again, the plans or the department can only go so far. I do believe we need to make it a priority. Speaking of priorities earlier, both the staff and obviously resources for some of the ideas that are in the housing plan, we need to look into as a council. And so hopefully asking city manager and my colleagues for us to step up and make sure we're supporting this plan and investing in housing for the city. Thank you.
Wonderful. And I'm going to have a question about mixed use on some of these parcels for our staff, but first we'll go to Councilwoman Ansari.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm also very happy that we're kicking off the council season with some good news around housing and actions that are actually focused on addressing our housing crisis, which I think housing and homelessness, in my view, are the two top issues facing our city right now. Very happy that we're adding more properties to the plan. 2/3 of the new ones are in District 7, which I'm really excited about. But what I'm really looking forward to is actually breaking ground on these units and housing residents with the urgency that we have for other exciting projects. We really need to get these RFPs out immediately. I know I had a great conversation with Titus and Samantha and folks in the housing department today about some new properties being added along Grand Avenue, which I think if we could expedite with mixed use and affordable housing this fall, that would be fantastic. Similarly, a site on Central and Broadway in South Phoenix along Light Rail, which I think, again, affordable housing, mixed use, there's a food desert we need to address. So if we can tackle all of these things, and again, the urgency is really, really there, I think, for the city. But then also going back to the previous conversation, which, you know, I thought I'd wait till this point to comment on, but I think we clearly need to be using every tool in our toolbox to expedite, whether it's permitting for multi-housing projects, encouraging density in the Phoenix downtown core and along transit routes, and allowing accessory dwelling units, duplexes, triplexes, and more neighborhoods. Planning department is another one that there's no question we are incredibly short-staffed, and I think that's completely linked to our housing crisis. And we use the term crisis a lot, but it really is a crisis to not have staff in our planning department. That is one of the most frequent issues that I hear, is just the time that it takes to get things through. And I think we as a city, Phoenix has been leading on housing, and we will continue to do so, and I'd like to see us do so. I think the summer rental assistance was probably the biggest call that my office received. I know our allocation of dollars is running out, and we have applied for more. But I think just the consistency of calls, whether it's around the voucher system being, you know, so having so many issues there, rental assistance, housing, I really appreciate all that you all are doing, and just know that we're here as partners, because I think, you know, Phoenix leading when it comes to affordable housing is something that I will be very focused on this upcoming session, and of course, as that relates to our homelessness crisis. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
I would like to thank the staff in the sense of coming back and asking me regarding some parcels in District 4. We remove some parcels from being sold because for me it's about access and equity, and so those parcels, I'm glad to say, will be our community garden within our Maryvale area. And so I understand the urgency and the push, but I had agreed at one point to put this out, and because of COVID and everything that I saw and happened, I was able then to pull it back and say I would like to have this as a community garden and in a food desert area. So I want to thank you for doing that. I also feel like staff needs to be more innovative, and in that sense of innovation of how when we do this, what do we want that to look like, and in the neighborhood that it's going to happen. And so I have many parcels in District 4 that's going to happen, but really kind of a mixed use type of area with single homes, townhomes, multifamily, so that there's a diversity of living within that area, but also stock, so people moving out of a townhome or has outgrown it can go into a single family home. So really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Guardado.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm also looking forward to this item today. I want to thank Titus and his team and everyone that's been working on this. The housing plan, I think, is key to all of the goals that we have throughout the city. We keep saying a crisis, and we are in a crisis, and I do appreciate the parcels that we're doing in District 5 and the process that we are moving forward with. I really like that. And I have also spoken with many developers in the affordable housing world, and they are very eager to see the request for proposals hit the street. I want to especially thank you, Titus, for all of your hard work on this, and Samantha in our housing department for their work on this item. They worked with my staff to add an important city-owned parcel to today's list as we continue to focus on ways to improve the 27th Avenue corridor in D5. And I finally want to emphasize that this item is only one piece of our Housing Phoenix plan. I ask that we urgently prioritize our plan to ensure we are meeting the needs of Phoenix residents. There is much more we can and should be doing, and we need to invest the staffing and resources to make it happen. Like some of my colleagues have said, there's a lot of different staffing issues that we have in different departments to be able to make this happen, to make sure that the permits, that everything that we need to passes at an adequate time, and that we continue to keep everyone that wants to come and invest in the city of Phoenix, that we keep that process moving at a more rapid pace, and I know that means hiring more people to making sure that that process is efficient. But I do want to thank the team and thank you guys so much for all of your hard work.
Thank you. Was that a yes? Councilman DeCiccio.
Just a quick point on that, and for anyone who knows me, I've been, years ago we started pushing for more, density in my district, which caused some rift with the neighbors. But at the same time, those were more affordable. And I think one of the key components, not so much as the mixed in this, but the affordability, because that's where the working class is. They need to be able to, if you want to work at a restaurant, you got to live near there. You can't live 20 miles away. And the other part of it too, and density is always an issue. It just is. And so I figured from my end of it, I would, try to do what I could in my district and, try to get some of those projects through. But if you're going to be moving people more from their individual vehicles to a more multimodal type of, way of getting into work and getting around, you've got to be on a major street in order to do that. People aren't going to walk at 110 degrees, walk 2 or 3 blocks. They just don't want to do that, right? Figure if you're wearing heels, make it even worse, right? It's hard. So it just is. So, getting that done, it's more of a change that we need to think about here at the City of Phoenix, of how we want to go and how we want to create the density, especially on those major corridors. And I know there's always going to be pushback on those things. It just is. It's just anytime you make a change. But for the city, it's really in our best interest. And also it's a lot, it doesn't demand the type of services either. So if you have 1 home per acre, to pick up garbage, just as something simple as that, you've got to go, to get maybe 50 cans, you got to go through 50 acres, right? Well, approximately. Your frontage is probably 150, 170, but, do the math on that. So in order to do that, that takes a lot further than if you had a 4-plex. You could pick up 4 right away, right? So it comes down to the service delivery, and it comes down to the ability to be able to use the bus system that we have here. Train, and everyone knows I have issues with that, but either way, you'd have to be right on it. But we do know that the buses for sure go along the main corridors. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. We just finished up the last fiscal year, and I actually think we have a lot to celebrate at the City of Phoenix. The Planning and Development Department had a 65% increase in multifamily permits issued over the last year. We also had a pretty significant increase in single-family permits issued. And so we got, with the actions taken by the City of Phoenix last year, 13,000 planned new dwelling units for the City of Phoenix, and we are joined in the Phoenix MSA by a lot of other cities that are stepping up. So there are, in terms of unbuilt housing units and active platted development projects for 2021, 187,000. If you look at housing units and active platted development projects for 2021 in the Phoenix MSA, 247,000 units. That is a huge difference in the housing supply here. There is a lot of action going on in the City of Phoenix, and a 65% increase in multifamily permits is very substantial. So thank you to the folks in our Planning and Development Department who have been so busy with that. That does not happen easily. Today's been a big day for the Housing Phoenix plan, and we'll continue with several votes that we've had. Earlier today, we moved forward on our goal to put affordable housing experts on boards and commissions. There were several appointments. I'll particularly note Gabe Jaramillo, who has experience with Habitat for Humanity and Vitalist, who joined our planning commission and will provide his great experience in affordable housing. And we will have upcoming votes related to UMOM, Central Arizona Shelter Services. This one is very significant. It's more than 140 parcels in the city of Phoenix in many different parts of our city. We want to make sure we have affordable housing throughout our city. I really appreciated Councilwoman Guardado's comment. Some of the highest percent increases in rent have been in her district, and so the fact that she's leading to make sure we make this investments is very significant. But also today we'll be moving forward on a transit-oriented development plan, and so it's important to me that as we move forward on our plans, it's consistent with all of our different goals for the city of Phoenix. Today we are moving on expediting parcels, including many that are on our transit system. One, Councilman Ansari and I were just talking about where Central and Broadway, where she's been doing a lot of work, and I think I could probably list every council district, but I won't. With goals around mixed use, particularly in areas like light rail, it's important to me that we try to have as diverse of projects, mixed income, but also mixed use. We want active ground floors. Our community has said they want to be walking in areas where there is vibrancy and activity. So how will we make sure as we move forward on affordable housing, we are also consistent with our goals for these parcels in busy parts of our city?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. That's an excellent question. For all of those parcels, each one of them is unique in its location and what it might lend itself to, and part of that process of getting these out will include taking a look at that. I'll let Titus describe how that will work in the process.
Mayor, members of the council, that's an excellent question, Mayor. So currently, one of our projects we're doing in District 8 is a Moreland project, the former Deck Park Vista. So the ground floor will be different spaces, not residential. It's going to be, one of the proposals possibly is a kitchen for people to come and use. So the different ideas we're looking at. So depending on the zoning and where the size of the property and how the developers pencil out the deal, we will look at retail and mixed use across the board for all our sites. Because one of the considerations we may come back to council is on the list of parcels we will have single-family home sites. So one of the things, this body approved the Community Land Trust program, so that's something, a consideration to consider in the future, whether we should move single-family sites to the Community Land Trust as well.
To move, I'm sorry, single-family sites to move to what? I didn't hear you.
A Community Land Trust model. So that's a consideration for the future, but I just want to make sure that we're looking at all options. So we will work with council and mayor to figure out for how to do that going forward in terms of RFPs. So we will definitely look at mixed use and mixed income.
And then we have several departments that have parcels in here. Neighborhood Services has been quite involved, had some extensive community meetings on some of the parcels that are on this list. I'm hopeful that they will continue to be involved and provide your department with their expertise. Would love to see CED involved with some of the ground floor activation and retail. So will you talk about how you'll work with other departments?
Yes, so we are working closely with NS, Neighborhood Services, CED, and Transit. So we work very closely with them, and Samantha and her team in the Affordable Housing Initiative work also with planning. So we work and meet with them quite frequently and making sure that we're all in sync with what we need to do in creating more affordable housing options and mixed use as well.
Wonderful, and Transit and planning have been heavily involved in some of our corridor planning, so we were committed to our residents. We are going to move forward on those plans while we achieved our housing goals. And again, it was great to see that some of these will be diverse, mixed income communities, so thank you in that area. For people who are looking for business opportunities with the City of Phoenix and who might want to be our partners on these parcels, what should they look for and how?
So, Mayor and members of the council, one of the things we do, we have a listserv, and we'll be doing developer engagement and public engagement. So we'll be sending out, soliciting surveys or feedback, asking them what they want to see. So as we develop the RFP, and we have used some, like for example, we're going to be working with Councilman Guadalu's office, we're working on a co-location site at Helen Drake Community Center. So we're engaging the community and to see what kind of housing options for seniors we're going to have at that site. So going forward with all our different RFPs, we will engage the different stakeholders, such as the PCA, Downtown Partnership, and all the developer forums and the residents to make sure that there's equity and we're figuring out solutions for everyone.
Wonderful. And if people are not on our list, is Procurement the best place to sign up, or how should they get on our list?
So we will send out notifications. We advertise in the media as well as our Twitter, as well as the city's PIO offices, and we do advertisements in the newspapers as well.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Titus. I didn't know we were going to have the opportunity to have the conversation, and so I was a little vague in when I said, we need to figure out how to fund properly. I really appreciate the innovation piece, and I know the affordable housing plan goes beyond just this land. But one of the comments I want to make is I really do think we need to figure out how so we can be helpful, right? As a city, I know at one point the city developed or co-developed sites ourselves. I think we need to look into that. And if not that, how is it that we support both the building, but also to maintain affordability? So whether it's, paying for archaeological studies, which some folks have figured out how to get that done, doing zoning before, those sorts of things. So if you could speak a little bit more towards, if we had more, what are the things that we can do to make it easier for these developments to happen and for the housing stock to rise? I know, what you talked about Deck Park Vista, we happen, the winning bid ended up being Native American Connections, so it's a great organization. They're able to fundraise, and the projects is moving forward amazing, especially with the kitchen and all that. So just kind of trying to get from you, what else can we do as a city to make sure that need's met, and how else can we support in that way?
Mayor, members of council, Councilman Garcia, good question. So, we recently, in terms of affordable housing, one of the biggest challenges is subsidy and how to keep it affordable. So, the greater the subsidy, the greater affordability periods can be extended and maintained. So, it's going to come a decision between mayor and council to decide how much they want to do in terms of affordable housing, and then how much subsidy we need to give out. So this council approved $12 million for gap financing. So that's something we'll be giving out to developers to create more affordable housing or preserve. We'll come back to council to talk about that. So more money that is set aside for that purpose, then there's more affordable housing created.
Easy equation. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I'm looking at the TOD of where that space gets developed. I just want to make sure, because I'm thinking of all our districts that are on Central, to make sure that we keep some open space in that area and whatever's developed, because right now what's happening is the open space that is available on properties, they're wanting to build on that. And so I just don't want it to become a concrete jungle down Central, and be able then to have that uniqueness of Central all the way from the mountain, South Mountain, to all the way up north. And each area could have its uniqueness or its diversity, but be able to make sure that there's open space within this development. And what I mean by open space, I don't mean a terrace that has a pool. I mean actual open space that people can enjoy. So that I just want.
Thank you so much. Any additional comments? And I would say, as we moved forward with tools in this area, I would love to see tools that are broadly applicable, so we're not picking one project to get a ton of support and one project to not. The more we can be fair and consistent and even would be important to me. Roll call.
Ansari?
Yes.
DeCiccio?
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor,
Woohoo, yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
You did it.
Items 87 and 88 are related items. Nope, we have 85. Okay, I'm sorry. Vice Mayor, 85.
I move item 85.
We have a motion and a second. 85 was removed from consent for Cindy's supportive comments. Any additional comments? Roll call.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
All right. Vice Mayor, can we have a motion on 87 and 88?
I move 87 and 88.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. So voucher support with UMOM for single women and voucher support with Central Arizona Shelter Services for rapid rehousing for single men. Comments? We'll go to the Vice Mayor.
I have comments on both 87 and 88, so I don't know if somebody, I guess you guys will answer it. My comments are, or my questions are we keeping data? And if we are, or do we have specific expectation and outcomes for this contract? And then the other piece is, my understanding is we're just extending it. It's not going to exceed the 1.8 million in that sense, and that's what's my understanding. So I just want to get clarity.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, that is correct. It is just an extension of the time frame. It is not an additional dollar amount. And there is data and expectations on the outcomes that we're looking for with both of these contracts, and Rachel and Scott can describe that in greater detail.
Vice Mayor, some of the data and outcomes that we look at for rapid rehousing contracts is the number of people served in any given contract, obviously, but typically the thing we want to see most is the number of positive exits, positive permanent exits, positive temporary exits, and then overall we're looking for contractors that meet 70% positive permanent exits. Some temporary exits could be maybe to treatment facilities, which would still be a positive exit. But ultimately, we want everyone in a rapid rehousing program to exit that rapid rehousing program to someplace permanent where they are stable and able to have their own home.
Okay. Could you please explain rapid rehousing for our audience?
I'm so sorry.
No, I mean, we know what we're talking about, but for those that are watching.
Thank you. Rapid rehousing is a HUD intervention funded through Emergency Solutions Grant. It's typically move-in deposits, rent and utility assistance for up to 24 months. HUD allows up to 24 months, but our partners use only the time needed. So we have a philosophy within the homeless service system that you assist someone for as long as they need it, and then you move them on so that they are able to move on to housing on their own. So HUD allows 24 months. We at the City of Phoenix with these two contracts had a cap of 9 months of assistance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have outcome data for these two partners right now?
We do, but prior to this meeting, I pulled, CAS has already served 214 individuals in their grant, and UMOM 144. And really this, if I may, this action doesn't add any more money. HUD hasn't given us more money, but they have allowed us to extend contracts. HUD recently allowed the funding to be spent through September of 2023. Previously, it was September of 2022, which didn't allow a lot of our partners to spend fully and to assist all the folks that they could assist in that time period. So,
right. And did we hit our metric for 70%?
We're still working on that.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you. First of all, thank you all so much. I know, Rachel, we were out at the 28th Street shelter this last week, and I've probably gone 4 days in a row, just taking different folks and seeing how the rapid rehousing is actually impacting people's lives and seeing their excitement and having a date when they're going to go somewhere else. So I'm really excited for this item. 400 residents are going to be impacted by this, and I think it's great to have 2 items in a row where we're hitting different parts of the spectrum. We know we need the housing at the end, but we also need to support folks at different points of their needs. And so I just want to show support. I think you, Mom, and Cass have been great partners, and I thank you all for all the work and continue to do this.
Thank you, and we do have Nate here for comment, so we will welcome you down. And Cindy, do you want to comment additionally, or we're good? Okay. For the people who can't see Cindy, she nodded. She does not need to comment again. Still in support of the 2 items.
I just want to thank you, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to, I'm with CAS, Central Arizona Shelter Services. I'm the Government Community Relations Coordinator. Just wanted to give you our support of extending this contract. It's a powerful tool to be able to help us house our homeless neighbors, and we just wanted to speak in support in supporting this item.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Wonderful. We next move to 92, Phoenix Promise Program with the Maricopa Community College District Foundation. Vice Mayor.
I have to recuse myself.
All right. I move to approve item 92.
We have a motion and a second, and we do have many members of the public here to speak, so I will go ahead and start with those, and then I believe many members of the council are very interested in speaking, but we'll begin with someone who's working very hard on this, Reina Montoya, followed by Jose Patino.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, Mayor Gallego, Vice Mayor Pastor, City Council Ansari, and all the members of the City Council. We're just very excited to hear about this news. My name is Reina Montoya, and I am the founder and CEO at Aliento. I get to work with a lot of young people and a lot of non-traditional students who are extremely excited to go back to school, and the College Promise program would give a transformational opportunity to many Phoenix residents, recent high school graduates, returning students, many diverse populations that typically get underrepresented to have a fair shot to be able to go back to school, get their 2 or 4 year degrees. So we're just very grateful and extremely supportive of this program, and we can't wait to see the results in partnership with you all.
Wonderful, thank you. We'll next go to Jose, and then we will try Adriana Gonzalez.
Everyone, good evening. My name is Francisco Pastor. I'm speaking on behalf of Jose Patino, and I'm a resident of District 4. I'm currently studying at Creighton University.
And I'm sorry, we don't. We need you to register to speak. So we will go to.
Sorry.
Can we go to Adriana? Adriana is not on. Okay. Let's see. Do we have several people who are available to speak if necessary. Let's see. Lily Sanchez. Did you wish to speak?
Switch audio.
Lily, are you on the line?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes, please proceed. If you could speak a little louder, please.
Can you guys hear me okay? I'm going back to my computer.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, my name is Lily Sanchez, and I really support the program. I think that it's
something that our student base really needs in order to be able to kind of move forward in their education. I think that it's necessary for our students to have the probability and the ability to follow their dreams and to be able to go to school and to not have barriers in order to complete their education and to be able to support their families, especially if they're single parents or if they're returning students that because of external circumstances have not been able to continue their education. So I think that this program would be greatly beneficial for Phoenix community. And speaking from a student that went through those hardships, to see this program come about to help erase those barriers for the future education system is something that is very important and very moving to me personally.
Thank you. Angel is next, followed by Paulina. And Hel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angel Palazuelos. The Phoenix Promise program is an amazing program opportunity that will tremendously help underserved and marginalized communities get a shot at pursuing higher education. I personally believe that is the right thing to do. It will be a start in bridging the existing socioeconomic gap in our communities. Education means everything to me, and I am blessed enough to have an opportunity to be a junior in college. Some of my peers at Metro Tech High School were not as fortunate as me, and that is why I'm here. Something that we do know is that Phoenix and Arizona needs an educated workforce to make room so that bigger corporations can come here and establish job opportunities and improve our economy and community as a whole. This means a lot to me, and I hope y'all do the right thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And for our staff, do we have additional speakers online? Okay. Mario. Okay, Mario is next.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Mario Montoya. I'm actually a recent ASU grad. I wanted to say that approving this program would be very helpful to a lot of our community members, especially our underserved community members. This will provide a lot of opportunities for people and students that would not necessarily be able to get these opportunities without programs like this. I think education is one of the fundamentals investments that we could do for our community, and this program would assure that we help achieve a higher education for our underserved community, unrepresented community, especially with having the city of Phoenix growing. It would be essential to having an educated workforce to be able to fill up these jobs and make sure that they go to community members here in Phoenix. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So checking with our staff, we have all registered speakers who are available have spoken. All right, so let's try Paulina. Okay. We do not have audio for Paulina. All right, Councilmember Councilmember Garcia.
As a proud product of community colleges, I'm really excited for this opportunity for folks, and thank you for all those from Aliento and others who worked to make this happen. Thank you to the MCC system and our economic development staff for working out all the quirks of how to make this happen. In conversations with both the colleges and students, it was evident that there was needs beyond the tuition, and so really glad that some of the funds will be able to use for childcare, for food, for other academic support. This program will cover their holistic needs and hopefully create more success, which will lead to obviously folks having better job opportunities. So really excited to support this and glad that we were able to make it work and that we're filling this gap. So thank you all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ansari.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm super excited about this. I think this is one of the most exciting items on our agenda here today. It's one of the Phoenix Promise program is one of the very first items that my office pitched in our early 2021 ARPA discussions, and I want to actually shout out my Chief of Staff, Maria Lopez, for coming forward with the idea. And today, what we are doing is committing $5 million for scholarships that will allow 400 residents to pursue 2-year and 4-year programs at Maricopa community colleges. The Phoenix Promise program will also include a focus on engaging our most underserved students, as you heard from the folks who called in today, and providing wraparound support, which is widely known to be one of the biggest barriers. So just direct cash that students can use to cover costs such as transit, books, and childcare. We know sometimes it just takes that additional $100 to $300 bill to deter potential students from pursuing higher education. So this is an incredibly valuable component of this program. This comes at a great time. We just saw the federal government doing its part to address the crippling student debt that current and past borrowers are facing. And I'm even more proud that Phoenix is now getting into the business of supporting college students of all ages. We have a very strong community college system here in Maricopa County, and this program from our city will work to make it even more affordable and accessible to our students. Want to give a special recognition to Reina Montoya, Jose Patino, and Francisco Pastor, and the folks at Aliento who worked very closely with us from the very beginning. They came forward with all of the data, all of the numbers on what we needed to do to make this program a success. Then we had community and economic development and Chris Mackey's team working closely with the city manager's office and Sam from Jeff's team to work quickly to make sure that this program would be ready for the 2022 to 2023 school year. I also want to thank Mayor Gallego and Vice Mayor Pastor, who were incredibly helpful and instrumental in bringing these parties together and creating a Phoenix-specific program. We do recognize that there are some pieces of this program that can and need to be improved. Because this is federal funding, it is we are unable legally to support our DACA students with it, but something that we're looking to do very soon, now that we've launched the program, is bring together other partners, whether that be from the private sector, from school districts, anyone who's interested in joining us, the county, to be able to get other funding to be able to support students who want to take advantage of this program, but maybe that Phoenix-specific funding can't work for them. So inviting all partners who are interested in joining us. Again, very excited about this. As the daughter of immigrants, I'll say that for me, education was something that was instilled in me from the very beginning and something that I believe is a true pathway to economic and generational resiliency in the United States. So excited that Phoenix is investing in this today, and we hope to make this program a huge success. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Councilwoman Guardado, and then I understand Paulina has rejoined with audio. So third time, hopefully, will be the charm.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm also going to be supporting this item. When we invest in our young people, we all win. And one of the things that we saw during COVID was the need of education, was the need of giving people a new opportunity. Is something that we've been pushing since this pandemic hit, and since we got some of these federal dollars. It was something that was clear, and it was clearly important that we needed to invest in our youth, and we needed to invest in people to making sure that they were able to get new career paths after what happened during COVID. So I'm very excited that Phoenix Promise program is a transformative investment. Young people in Phoenix now have a $5 million fund to help them pursue education at our community colleges. As a council, I hope we can continue to support and expand this important program. I want to thank our Deputy City Manager, Ginger Spencer, our Community and Economic Development Director, Chris Mackey, the leadership of the Maricopa Community College District, and all the city and community college staff that worked so hard to get this program off the ground. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And now, Paulina.
Oh, hi. Thank you. Paulina here, just making sure that everyone can hear me.
We can.
All right. Thank you so much for bringing me back. I do want to start off by thanking everyone that worked on this opportunity. I think that it is a great start, and it is going to be an influential change here for a lot of students. Definitely will motivate them to go back to school and, pursue their careers. And I'm so excited to see how we will grow with this. And there's so many opportunities out there. So thank you.
Thank you. Additional council member comments? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
We next move to item 97, enter in a readiness cooperative agreement with FEMA. Vice Mayor.
I move item 97.
Second.
Thank you. Ryan Mead is available for public comment. Let's hear from Ryan. Ryan, the floor is yours. All right, I am unable to hear Ryan. From my perspective, this is an important agreement. The City of Phoenix and Arizona Task Force 1 have represented us with great excellence and gone to some of the most important events in our nation's history. As we are about to remember 9/11, I'm so thankful to our first responders who helped with that and know that the country would be there for us when we need them. Comments? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
102, authorization to amend agreement with ASU in support of research for strategies with policing innovation grant. Vice Mayor.
I move item 102.
Second.
Motion and a second. Vice Mayor for comments.
Yes, I just want to, I know we've had this grant, but I want to know what we're gathering.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Assistant Chief Martos is here to speak in more detail, but I can preliminarily tell you this is data regarding the Crime Gun Intelligence Unit and the associated study by ASU. They are adding additional officers to the number of officers that they're studying, which is going to increase the cost a little bit, and it's also going to allow for additional time to spend the funds originally allocated. Chief Martos, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, this is creating a database that will capture non-fatal gun offenses.
So it's capturing, is it creating a database, or are we creating a database for the non-fatal?
Correct, and it's increasing the number of employees that are involved as well, as Assistant City Manager Bays mentioned, was increasing from 12 to 32 employees who are involved in this study.
Oh, okay, so it's 32 employees that are involved in the study. Are they analyzing them, or they're analyzing their behavior? Or, just a little bit more detail.
Madam Mayor, members of council, and Vice Mayor Pastor. So we have the Crime Gun Intelligence Unit that we partnered with ATF. They track events where guns were used and track casings. So what we are doing is we expanded that program because of the gun violence that we're experiencing, not just here but across the country, expanding that with additional officers who are liaison officers in each of the precincts to have collateral duties. And so that database will collect this information to be able to and create that database on non-fatal shootings.
I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Collateral duties. Please
So-
describe that.
Yeah, so they're liaisons. So we will have officers in uniform who are out in the precincts who will be operating as officers, but they will be the liaison to our central gun crime unit, which is downtown. So they'll have the training to be able to collect some of those evidentiary items and so forth.
So they're getting trained to be able then to do this research or this, or be able to collect the data within those areas or precincts.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Item 112, pilot for TOD planning grant opportunity, federal bipartisan infrastructure law funding. Do we have a motion?
Move item 112.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we do have a speaker here for that. Cindy.
Hello? Thank you again, Mayor and members of the council. On behalf of PCA, our board, and our members, I just ask that you support this infinitely important measure to retroactively approve the application for the grant. It's really important. We were on such a short timeline. I'm glad it actually happened, but the results of the grant, and if we receive the funding, will be wonderful. We really need to take a look at what will be happening for the TOD grant along the light rail extension in South Central, so that we can have equitable land use, transportation, and infrastructure investments. So there will be great outcomes if we're able to win the grant. So thank you very much for your support.
Thank you for your support. We'll start with Councilmember Garcia, one of the two council members in the Corps.
Thank you, Mayor. Excited to put this grant forward to get support the staff needed to enact this plan. The vision that's been laid out by the community is amazing. This vision is environmentally equitable, connected to communities, and the process was extensive, and was glad to take part in it. We've said for a long time that the implementation of the plan is key, and I'm glad that we will hopefully have staff to make sure that this is successful. And at the same time, also want to thank the staff, the grant staff that's been working on this, and that's going to work on it. So really excited to put some money before this great planning that was done for the TOD.
Thank you. Councilwoman Ansari.
Thank you. Similarly, very supportive of this. It actually just came up on my phone memories that it was a little over a year ago that Councilmember Garcia and I were sitting in the room watching the voting of the South Central TOD plan one evening at City Hall. So it's been already a little over a year that that plan was voted upon, and I think there is consistent calls from the community to implement and make sure that everything we do as a city aligns and goes hand in hand with that. So obviously the federal funding will be extremely valuable. We owe a lot to the community organizations. There's so many, but you know, folks like South Central Collaborative, Promise Arizona, PCA, so many others who've worked on this plan. So thank you to Mario and Marcus and everyone who worked on this grant, and hope to celebrate the fact that we will receive it. Thanks so much.
Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Woohoo, yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next go to item 116, Dr. Warren Stewart Sr. Ceremonial Street Signage. Do we have a motion?
Want to do it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve item 116.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We do have at least one member of the public here to comment. So Ernest, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mayor and council members, for this few minutes to speak on behalf of this request. My name is Ernie Urquhart. I am chairman of the board of Fifth Hill Family Services, as well as a member of First Institutional Baptist Church. Fifth Hill Family Services was founded by Reverend Stewart 36 years ago, but it was 45 years ago that Pastor Stewart came to FIBC, as it's known, and has been the leader. He is, for these 45 years, preaching, teaching, leading, not only in the church, but in the community in ways that some of you are, I'm sure, very familiar with. We submit this request based on our belief that in this his 45th year of leading not only the church but the community through some challenges and some benefits, that it is very appropriate to give this kind of recognition. I would also add, on behalf of the church and the agency and the community, that we realize that recognition is usually reserved for when a person is passed on. And it is our wish and hope in this request that we can break that tradition a little bit and show some recognition and love for him in this life and do something later in an afterlife. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your testimony. We will turn to Councilmember Garcia, followed by the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. A lot happening in District 8 this week. Dr. Stewart, I've had the opportunity to know him almost 20 years. From the first time I met him at a rally to this past week when we had a meeting on 24th Street and Broadway, he always personifies dignity and the yearning for justice. Pastor Stewart is a pillar of this community. His impact on the East Lake neighborhood, the city of Phoenix, and the whole country is immeasurable. He's always been community-driven and has shown that safety is based in a strong community that cares for one another. From helping veterans and unsheltered folks in the East Lake area to getting the MLK Jr. Day as an unofficial easy holiday pass, he's made Arizona a better place and a more equitable place for all of us. Pastor Stewart is a history maker, and our office is honored to be able to support and make this sign a reality. So with that, already made a motion, and we'll definitely be supporting Pastor Stewart's recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Congratulations, Pastor Stewart. You have watched me grow up, and I have watched you, your family, engage and grow up also. And so it was because of you and many other leaders that really impacted my life and was helped me become a change maker within our community, and always knowing that we would never not necessarily to always know that we would fail at times, but to pick ourselves up and continue, because chipping away at what needed to happen within Arizona, we knew to start to chip and go another year and continue another year and put pressure on nationally regarding Arizona and the Martin Luther King holiday. So I will always be indebted to him and grateful for him in the sense of him making that change within Arizona. The other piece is he's also a national figure. Many people don't know that, but he has been recognized nationally. And he has made an impact across the nation. And so I am excited to see this ceremonial sign and be able to honor him. So thank you, Pastor Stewart.
Thank you. Additional comments? So the City of Phoenix recognizes important contributors to our community with ceremonial signage, and I'm looking forward to supporting these signs at the intersection of 12th and Jefferson Streets. Dr. Stewart's been a very important contributor to our community, whether it be as a voice for healthcare, for housing, for common sense immigration, or for civil rights. Dr. Stewart is celebrating 45 years in his role, and we appreciate his commitment. It's fitting that the sign be at this location where he has helped make Arizona history. The initial executive order of the King holiday in Arizona was signed at the pulpit at First Institutional Baptist by Governor Babbitt, and so there's a lot of history that we are recognizing with this ceremonial signage. It will be only 2 blocks from the ceremonial sign honoring the late Bishop Alexis Thomas, who led Pilgrim Rest Baptist Church for many years. So it is a corridor of important contributors in our community. And I would be remiss if, as we recognize Dr. Stewart, we did not also recognize Karen Stewart, his partner in marriage and ministry, and a great leader in our community in her own right. So thank you to the Stewart family. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes. Woo!
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Our District 8 emphasis continues with item 119, Department USDOT Bridge Investment Program. Vice Mayor, or actually, Councilmember Garcia, do you have a motion?
Motion to approve item 119.
Second.
Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Glad to see staff is working to get money for infrastructure. Obviously, the needs of our district, this bridge, was listed as the bridge with the highest priority needs in the city. With rising cost of construction, we have to step up to make sure these projects can still be completed. And so, again, grateful that we're getting this work done.
Thank you. Roll call.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Our final agendized item is item 162, which is a HP Certificate of Appropriateness, and we will welcome our planning team led by our Deputy City Manager, Ellen Stevenson. We will begin with a staff report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of Council. We will be brief on this item. This is a certificate of appropriateness appeal for a historic preservation parcel at 2215 North 9th Street within the Coronado Historic District. I do have Mr. Kevin Waite here with me if we wish to have a larger presentation, but I do believe that at this point the applicant has continued the request a couple of times at the request of Vice Mayor Pastor to work things out with the neighbors. We do have a proposal that was submitted from them that meets the agreement with the neighbors, and staff is here recommending approval per the memo from August 30th with the Acting Historic Preservation Officer, Helena Reuter, and approval of the Certificate of Appropriateness. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
I would like to make a motion.
Let me quickly, Alan, do we have public comment, or can we quickly gavel shut the hearing?
Mayor, we can quickly gavel the public hearing and close it. The public is just on there for information. If they have questions, it's the applicant.
Open the public hearing. Close the public hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to approve per the August 30th memo from the Acting Historic Preservation Officer and grant the Certificate of Appropriateness.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia. Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
I'm just going to make some comments. I would like to thank the neighborhood or the neighbors and those that work together to make this happen. So it's a yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
Thank you. That concludes our agendized business. We do have 7 members of the public to comment on citizen comments, so I will turn to our city attorney to introduce this portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. During citizen comment, members of the public may address the City Council for up to 3 minutes on issues of interest or concern to them. The citizen comment session is limited to 30 minutes. The Arizona Open Meeting Law permits the City Council to listen to the comments, but prohibits council members from discussing or acting on the matters presented.
Thank you. We will begin with in-person. We'll go Kim Baker, followed by Diane Barker.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor. I have a citizen petition. Okay, thank you. Thank you all for allotting me this time this evening. I want to start briefly with a letter that was afforded to me in January 22nd, 2016, paragraph 4, where I was encouraged by this statement: we do not want our citizens feeling apprehensive about treatment from the police. And I want to note that as I go forward with this petition, because I'm asking the council for 2 actions to be taken by the Phoenix Police Department concerning an open investigation of a hate crime incident, report number 2021-000-164-5266, those of obstruction of justice by a private investigator named David Carlson and dereliction of duty by Phoenix Police Detective Collins. And I'm going to get through this briefly. On October 21st, 2021, I, Kim Baker, became the victim of a biased hate crime. A note was left on my windshield of my truck saying, "You dead nigger." That's what it said. See attachment A. I was at work when it happened. The only tangible lead I had was uncovered by a man named David Carlson, a private investigator I had met downtown Phoenix. Mr. Carlson, though he has been permitted by the Phoenix Police Department, Detective Collins, to lie and obstruct justice concerning this biased crime, on or about September 24th, 2021, Mr. Carlson sent me the attached text messages, and he openly admits that he had talked to people and read articles during the investigation. Detective Collins asked me to forward these messages to him, and I did. See attachment B. On page 1 of 2 of Mr. Carlson's interview by Detective Collins, he denies he spoke to anyone about the missing child, Jesse Shockley. He denies meeting me in person, although he is the one who gave me the attached business card, see attachment C. He lied to Detective Collins about probative matters that he had in his care. Detective Collins did not investigate Mr. Carlson further, despite evidence he received from me. His dereliction of duty is totally unacceptable. On October 21st, 2021, was the date when I found the note on my truck. My text messages started with Mr. Carlson. Okay, I just want to finish with that, Mayor. I'm asking that this gentleman, Mr. Carlson, be arrested and Detective Collins be cited in whatever way you all choose for his dereliction of duty. This man literally lied to the detective. I'm not dead, okay, but I am still concerned. My boss walks me out pretty much every evening to make sure I get to my vehicle so that nothing happens to me. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Baker, and the clerk has received the petition. Diane is next, followed by Alicia Deals.
Good afternoon, Mayor Gallego and Phoenix City Council. I'm Diane Barker in District 7. It's good to see you at the beginning of this new fiscal year. And I do want to thank my councilwoman for sending somebody over to the environmental building. I live downtown. I think that was important to share what a LEED 8, the highest certification of environmental buildings, 60 units, is for downtown Phoenix, and I hope some of the ideas and the mistakes will be taken seriously. I was over at the Board of Supervisors, and actually, it's unusual. It's actually a compliment to have one of the heads of procurement come out and say, you know, I really liked what you told us at the Board of Supervisors. I said, you know, I took a walk yesterday, and I found I went for a drink of water in Hance Park. And it was hot. It was 3 o'clock. But, you know, I seem to gravitate. I love Phoenix year-round. So I wanted to drink water and went over to get it, and it burnt my hand. It was a canister that kind of resembled what we have on light rail platforms. I've said this for years. We have apparently architects and engineers that haven't gotten out of the office. We have people that it's open contract and procurement that are from out of Arizona. I asked this woman, do you have like boilerplate or some type of policy you put in your contracts where you will ask them to recognize the conditions, particularly temperature, that we live here, so that they will build and advise on that, and we'll have staff do that. She says, you know, each department puts out their RFP, but that's a good idea to ask for policy. I'm asking for the City of Phoenix to consider that. I've read a couple of RFPs. I didn't see it. It's been some years ago, though. So, you know, maybe I'll ask I'll ask Alan, and I'll ask over at Economic Development about that. But I think it's very important because we have to live here with what you give money for to build. And believe me, there's not enough shade either. I'm getting good response from transit. They sent the operations out to put a shelter up. A woman was sitting 2 days ago in the hot sun at 7th and Camelback with no overhead, waiting for a bus. Now, that's an old intersection. So the thing about it, the city will respond, but we need people to get out that are responsible to really see what's happening. And finally, in regards to, yes, we want our students to be educated. Let me just say this, is for a handout, there should be a give back. I'm an American and 13 generations, and we had some hard times coming up. Give back, give service, get with it, pick up litter for the things that our government are giving.
Alicia is next, followed by Nelson.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I thank you for your time and attention today. My name is Alicia Deals, perhaps better known to some as Life Changers Investments. I'm one of the very lucky recipients of the latest social equity license cannabis program. I've come here today to speak plainly about the unjust barriers myself and all new license holders are facing. Prior to the allotment of our licenses, industry leaders strategically injected key zoning verbiage to outlaw myself and all new licenses from Phoenix and the greater metropolitan area. This is a complete hypocrisy to the true nature and purpose of the voter-approved program, which in qualifying factors required applicants to be tied to adversely affected communities, the same communities that we are now told we cannot enrich with this life-changing opportunity, which will generate millions in tax revenue, provide stable and fair paying jobs for many members of the community, as well as many numerous other benefits. In conjunction to this zoning issue, we have been given only 18 months by the Arizona Department of Health Services to find secure funding, to find a properly zoned property, and prepare this property to meet all standards to operate. I'm asking the city to take an urgent initiative to address this time-sensitive matter by creating and/or correcting zoning references to fairly include all new licenses. I thank you again for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Nelson is next, and then participating virtually, we will go to John.
I have a citizen's petition to present to the clerk. Thank you, dear. Thank you for listening to our petition to add 6 additional courts to the 4 that exist now in Herberger Park. The reason we're asking for these additional courts is because right now we're spending more time waiting than we are playing pickleball. And so we would like to see 6 more courts, and we would like to see the existing courts brought up to the standards of adjacent communities in terms of lighting, windscreens, etc. And we've included one of our pickleball players is an architect that does big projects, and he did a rendering for this, and he says adding 6 courts at Herberger Park is feasible. We've gone hat in hand to the Parks and Recreation Department, and they said, we look at the budget. They looked at the budget, and they said, sorry, son, we got bupkis. There's nothing there. So I looked on the internet, and it said that across the country in various communities, pickleball courts are being funded with COVID relief money. So I looked at Phoenix, and it was $390 million, and you folks have all the individual items posted, and I looked at all that, and boy, they seemed so worthwhile, you know, food, medical care, etc. And I saw one, which I'm all for, but I want to add us to that, and it was $5.1 million for arts and culture. I'd like it to be arts, culture, and pickleball, because we only need a tiny chunk of that amount of money to accomplish our mission. You're probably wondering what COVID relief has to do with pickleball. And I'm glad you asked, because the city manager pointed out that things should be data-driven. So here's a little data. I saw in U.S. News and World Report an international study of 1.8 million people, and it said that people who got regular exercise had 11% less chance of getting the COVID, and if they got the COVID, they had a 43% less chance of dying. Additionally, and there's a lot of studies, I've just picked out two of the most germane ones. Journal of a Medical, JAMA, the Journal of American Medical. Thank you so much
for your testimony. We will receive your petition. We go next to John, followed by our final speaker, Joanna.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is John Forsyth. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm here today to talk about a lack of accountability in the Phoenix Police. I recently had an encounter with the Phoenix Police. The filming and following of police is not only constitutionally legal, it has been upheld by the judiciary branch several times, and also has been addressed locally by the governor signing House Bill 2319, which gives limitations on filming police activities. I filmed your police officer doing 10 to 15 over posted limits while driving through the cities of Peoria, Glendale, and then into Phoenix. Astonishingly, this officer was driving to set up a speed trap at a school zone 31 miles from where we started. It took 7 officers to contain the officer that pulled me over. After informing the officer to why I was following him, he asked how he could help me. I told him I expect him to follow the law. And it just started a nightmare from there. Your officer lost control over the situation, his actions, and his words. Before I repeat the accusation I levied towards your officer, I want to state that the Phoenix Police Professional Standards Sergeant has already denied that his officer said this. However, I was told by the sergeant that the 23-year veteran that I am talking about only had his body camera on for 24 minutes out of an almost 60-minute encounter. I did not know the lack of footage until the sergeant told me this after reviewing all of the 8 officers' body cameras. I still believe today that the officer stated, quote, he wanted to take off his uniform and kick the shit out of me, end quote. This statement is consistent with other remarks he had said that day. Mayor, Council, and especially the city manager, I cannot fathom how you are not embarrassed by the conduct of many of the officers inside Phoenix Police. There are a handful of good officers that I can attest to. I do believe this is the officer's supervisor, Lieutenant Jenke, told me recently that he would like his officers to obey the laws, but there's nothing he can do to make them do so. While I appreciate the honesty and truthfulness of his statement, it reeks of zero accountability. We live in a republic. A republic is defined as a representational democracy. That means, Mayor and Council, that you represent the voices of the people of Phoenix. Americans have already spoken. 65%, that is almost 2 out of every 3 Americans, believe in police reform and accountability. That does not include defund and certainly not abolish. Yet you and we do nothing. I'm amazed that officers dictate when to turn on and off body cams. It is obvious this 23-year veteran made sure nothing incriminating he did would ever make the light of day. I have found that people that do not like being watched are usually doing something wrong. That's my 3 minutes. I hope you soon appreciate my resolve to bring back a great department. Thank you again.
Thank you. Our final speaker is Joanna.
Okay, hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Hello? Okay, great. Hi, my name is Joanna Galuska, and I'm a resident of Phoenix. And first, I want to say thank you guys so much for doing the COVID emergency rental assistance. It has really helped me this year. So here, I'll be quick. Okay, so as you've noticed, rents have increased, not simply because of the supply and demand, but because real estate investors, many of them who are out of state, have smelled an opportunity and descended upon us like vultures. My own apartment complex was bought by a firm in Manhattan Beach, California that touts itself as a value-add multifamily housing, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, nobody's protecting us at the state level, and at the city level, you guys are doing amazing by offering the emergency rental assistance. I'm wondering if you can take one more step and maybe, hold on, Caleb. I'm talking to my kid. Once a person applies for emergency rental assistance, if you could make a note of it or something that a tenant can give to the landlord. It seems like a small step, but you know, the quickness with which a landlord can evict a tenant is compared with the time it takes to process a rental assistance application. One is faster than the other. And even when I was in the process of getting rental assistance, my landlord said, oh, well, we still have to go through the process. Well, I know if they file an eviction paper, I can request a continuance, but that's only 3 business days. So I'm wondering if there's anything that you at the city level can do to help slow down the eviction filing process. And thank you again so much for having that program.
Thank you to everyone who's participated in today's meeting. Have a meaningful Labor Day. We are adjourned.
Diapers, clothing, toothpaste, and more, all to send out to residents in the community. Throughout the pandemic, the Siwa Collective worked to provide food for about 15,000 people with their nutrient-dense, indigenous care packages with ingredients such as corn and beans like these from local farmers. Roseanne Albright, coordinator of the city's environmental programs,